I'm Roger Stone. Check out politiopinion.com.
Hey, Mr. Comey. Hey. How is it ethical to brief the President of the United States on an unverifiable and salacious dossier? And how is it ethical leadership to not tell him that his political opposition, Hillary Clinton, paid for that? You didn't disclose that information. Why didn't you disclose to President Trump that his opposition paid for the material? You are not an ethical leader.
Well, President Trump has been a month in office, and America has not become a totalitarian death state just yet. Regardless, some are still trying to ignite an uprising to throw him out of power. A group called Refuse Fascism says its goal is to, quote, drive the Trump-Pence regime out. They describe it as illegitimate, a cabal of, quote, white supremacists, women haters, science deniers, religious fundamentalist zealots, and warmongers who will eventually start a nuclear war. We're joined now by Sunsara Taylor. She's an organizer with Refuse Fascism. Sunsara, thanks for joining us. So I was reading your manifesto tonight, and you said this: the Trump regime is a fascist regime, no insult or exaggeration, that's what it is. For the future of humanity and the planet, we the people must drive this regime out. So I'm assuming you're not a moderate necessarily, but the obvious question arises, which is, if it's a fascist regime, how are you on this show?
Look, Donald, we're facing an emergency. Humanity is facing an emergency. A fascist regime has seized the reins of power in the most powerful, actually the sole superpower in the world. Trump and Pence are operating out of Hitler's playbook, only they have nuclear weapons. And what RefuseFascism.org is saying to the world is that while it's beautiful, it's righteous that millions of people have stood up in protest and continue to do so. And by the way, since I know he sometimes watches, President Trump, if you're watching, way more people have protested than were at your Nazi inauguration. But while this is beautiful, this resistance needs to grow, and people need to confront that this is a fascist regime that could drop the hammer and close down. It's working aggressively to close down the space for people to stand up and resist. And so in the name of humanity, 7 billion on this planet, we need to pour into the streets and say no. We refuse to accept a fascist America. We refuse to accept this for the world, and we must drive them out. We need to stay in the streets. Donald Trump is a fascist. That's out of Hitler's playbook. This is a danger to humanity, and yes, it's in its early stages, but people need to rise up and stop it before it is too late.
You don't really think that, or you'd be committing acts of violence, right?
I absolutely think. Actually, he's not like Hitler. He has a Twitter feed, he has that ugly orange thing on top of his head, and he has nuclear weapons, the biggest nuclear arsenal in the world. And people better wake up, because he is more dangerous than Hitler ever could have been. I'm calling for mass political protest and resistance, building on what's happened and staying in the streets in the name of humanity. Before the man starts, he asked 3 times, if I have nukes, why can't I use them?
No,
this is the mass incineration of human beings on an industrial scale.
I can see that you're spun up here.
Humanity.
But
sure,
you think you
nukes
can destroy
are no big
the
deal
world.
for you. I know you like to carry water for the liar-in-chief. I know you like to justify and rationalize the sexual predator-in-chief. But I don't think this is a joke. This is for humanity, and he is dangerous.
But what are you going to do about it, Sunsara? That's my question. Other than, like, jump around in the street with a sign in your hand, okay, no, and write your little manifesto.
RefuseFascism.org has a manifesto, as you said. RefuseFascism.org. We say we have 4 things people should do. They should manifest the no. They should protest every outrage and crime. But we have to have a single unifying objective. And the people who are waking up in this country who are horrified by this man with his finger on the nuclear weapon, we need to recognize that he has to be driven from office through mass political resistance before it is too late. Fascism advances through stages. Shock, awe, violence, and then periods of normalization.
Fascism with political resistance, but whatever, you may not know that.
Actually, it would have taken millions and millions to rise up to stop Hitler. It absolutely would have.
But what do you think?
And it's what people should have done.
Okay, may I ask you a real question?
It is shameful for you to
morally outraged, but hold on, I know it's shameful, but let me ask you this.
It's funny to you.
Question. So
no, because I know you love to carry water for this criminal, this war criminal wannabe-in-chief.
Right.
He's itching.
But hold on.
You find that as petty matter?
There were 62...
Tucker, you find that petty? You find that a petty concern that he wants to...
I know that you're very petty, but I'm trying to ask you a real question.
Nuclear weapons are as serious as you can be.
I just want to ask you... Okay. Let me ask you one last question, okay?
No election,
But
fair
you
or
still had-
fraudulent, can justify ripping up the
Please-
rule of law,
please answer
undermining
my
the
que-
courts,
What do you mean
threatening
the
and
rule of
shutting
law?
down
You're
the
saying
press.
that you should throw a duly elected president out of office.
No, I'm
so
saying
don't lecture me
people
about
should
the
resist.
rule of law.
Yes, that's what he means when he says so-called judge. That's what he means when he fires an
All right.
attorney general who disagrees
Look,
with
what I
his
want
laws.
to do, what I want to do is
What
get
you want
to
to
how
do is
you think.
normalize fascism.
All right.
What you want to do is try to
I'm giving up,
caricature
Sunsara.
and
I'm
dismiss
giving up.
people
This
who
is
are
too
telling the
obnoxious
truth.
for me. Thanks, though.
Political opinion is the way to go.
Mr. Pinko rocks.